Okay, we have the molded DRAC with its control rods put on. Just going to give you a close-up here. Cut a nice slot for the servo wires to come through from the servo. I've cut that slot with a soldering iron, and it's got a piece of solid copper number 12 gauge stuck into the front of the iron, and we use this to make the nice hole. The actual hole, I used the base of the servo, drew around it, and I just made that be my template. It's super simple and it works really well. Servo zeroed, you can see the horn, it's sticking straight up. I put the ball link on the very front of the servo, so when this is articulating and it needs to twist a little bit, the ball link will let it roll just a little bit. Right now you can see I have a jig. This is a molded DRAC trim jig. In the center where the line is the center of the valley. I have it taped on the wing and I have it taped on the control surface. So now the control surface has the right amount of reflex in it for when this is centered. So I'm trying to get everything fairly zeroed first. Now I will go through and put a couple drops of rubbing alcohol, or I should say denatured alcohol, where the metal meets the metal here in the clevis. And then I will take my soldering iron and some silver solder, and I will heat this up and add some solder in this joint. So the rear is the solder clevis, the front is the ball link. We're gonna go ahead and solder up the clevis. I always put the solder clevis at the horn. This allows you to have about half the threads available. So when you get this, you wanna screw your ball joint on about 5 or 6 revolutions so you can get a little bit of thread in here so you have some adjustability. Once you get it into place, you have the capability of adjusting it in the field later. So do not lock these in, do not lock the shrink in until after you're in the field and you have all your field testing done and everything is basically zeroed and centered where you want it. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and solder the rear end of this clevis. What I do is I put a little bit of denatured alcohol on this clevis where the two metals meet, put a little bit of silver solder on the soldering tool, heat up the side of the clevis, and when you heat up the side of the clevis, you'll be able to wick that solder directly into the clevis. There it goes. And pull it off, there you go. And that allows the clevis to be silver soldered. If you do need in the field to adjust it, you have the capabilities of either unsoldering it and adjusting it slightly, or you can adjust this end here by spinning this in or out a little bit. So do not lock your shrink tubes in place until you got this centered and the aircraft is flying correctly.